Yeah. Oh, man, I was just joking.
And now you have to follow.
And,
Yeah, so. If I brought my control. Oh, yeah, that, yeah.
Yeah, free, first year, it's free stuff.
That's amazing.
It took a long weekend.
No, you're not.
Sometimes.
I already showed you that. I forgot you.
No.
I guess you could do it.
It is 7:00, so I'll call the March 9th, 2026 Board of Education regular meeting to order. This meeting is being held in compliance with the Open Meetings Act, copy of which is on the wall right there. And with that, Jenna can never remember the order, excuse me.
Take roll call.
Thank you. Take roll.
Jason Art.
Here.
Cassie Plester.
Here.
Chase Cradwell.
Here.
Locke. Steve Slykeis.
Here.
Shannon Moore.
Here.
Delivery. Oh.
All right, with that, Brian not here tonight due to a personal matter, so I'm gonna make a motion to excuse Brian Locker's absence from the board.
Second.
So move second, is there any further discussion? Let's go.
Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Plester.
Yes.
Cradwell.
Yes.
Steve Slykeis.
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Yes.
All right, motion carries. With that, let's do the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Agenda item 1.4, I entertain a motion to include the regular meeting agenda.
I make a motion to approve the regular meeting as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Kathy. Jason, so move the second. Any further discussion? Let's go.
Cassie Plester.
Yes.
Chase Cradwell.
Yes.
Steve Slykeis.
Yes.
Shannon Moore. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Agenda item 2, welcome to guests on public forum. With that, is there anybody who'd like to address the board outside of the teachers this evening? Okay. With that, we'll move on to agenda item 3 to consider. Here you will see minutes of February board meeting attached and the monthly financials. In the first page of the financials, you'll see the house transfer. That's pretty normal to the general fund. You'll also see the updated bill fund amount account number. That is after the last payment has been made on the lease purchase. So that will continue to build once taxes are received into that in the spring, this fall. But that final lease purchase payment was made not too long ago. And then you'll see the check register. I went through all these, nothing too out of the ordinary. Everything was pretty normal on there. Cassie, do you have any questions on that check register? Any items you wanted to?
I did, sorry, I was making it out. Sorry, I tabbed it earlier and then I deleted it. Oh, I'll remember that.
Well, Cass is looking for that. You'll see, if the board will recall, the school now oversees the baseball fields. And so you'll see that new 5th season contract on there to maintain that. Obviously, that was different previously. So that's newer now that we have kind of more responsibility over that area.
I think that was the one that I had, was the baseball fields, the seasons, is that also?
The 900 one.
Yeah, that's, so is that for, like, just for like reseeding? It was from fifth season to the
No,
baseball
fifth
field.
season is not reseeding. That is like all of the applications for the entire summer for weeds and for, you know, like pre-emergent plus whatever
Okay,
else. It was on there, grubs and things like that.
Got it, okay. I was like, so the baseball field, is that, the baseball field, and the school are separate contracts?
Yes.
Is that it, or is the football separate?
No, the football field is not
Is
separate.
with the school.
The original one is, yeah.
Okay,
The only things that are separate are seedings, and that's, yeah, they do the seedings. So fifth season is all of the applications and all of those things.
got it. And then the sign, that was what it is. Aluminum sign, was that for the scoreboard?
No, it's
No.
no weight room. That was something that he requested for, and it was a curriculum for,
Okay,
so I'm gonna,
Okay.
if you have more questions about that, Aaron can ask, but it was something that was budgeted for his curriculum.
gotcha. Coming out of
Yeah.
his budget there. Got it.
And then the other thing I want to highlight was the new bus cameras. So we looked at that bill, those cameras are very expensive. Because majority of that whole bill is the tech
Yeah.
and equipment.
It was like 500 to install, and the rest of it was the camera and all of the mounts and cords and wires.
All the Wi-Fi.
Great, just wire around those, so.
But it's just, there's so many different little cameras inside of us, there's multiple different
Oh,
eyes.
So they
you
get
know,
different
on the
angles, there's like
outside,
6
so-
different angles inside of a camera, and then they've got audio too.
yeah.
They're really good.
And then you can like, and then it catches like the stop arm and things like that.
Yeah.
So they're everywhere. They're behind the bus.
That I don't know, we had to really go back,
I mean, you pull it
the whole
in.
month pulls up when I send
Yeah.
it in, and I can go back, but I've never had to go
And
back. so I'm
it-
not
But
sure.
usually it's, something very quick, like it's a bus driver. Usually you don't have to go back. It's like bus driver says, I had an issue, can we pull the camera? They bring their camera in, we take a look at it. Handle it.
I was just curious for litigation purposes, how far we have to go back. They would, you think it would have been pulled in, so.
Yeah, if there's an event. we
It's
have
not,
to-
is that cloud backed up?
No, I think it's just on that.
Physical
cassette, yeah.
storage, how much you take?
Sorry, I have another one. Kind of. The Bobcat, it says filters and blade. What type of blade did we buy for less than, for that minimal amount? Was it
I
like
think
a,
service on the blade.
oh, okay. I was just like, how in the world did we buy a blade?
I think it was service
Blade
on the
sharp.
blade.
Yeah, well, yeah, hope we're not sharpening the blade.
That'd be a first, that'd be a first.
Yeah, but okay, I was like, okay. Those are the only things that I really, that stuck out to me. Obviously, there's some things on there that are just big ticket items that we see a lot.
You'll see some ESU3 bills on there.
Mhm.
Some other consulting that we use. You'll see the check register, listed Amazon as it usually always is.
Yeah.
For miscellaneous stuff. Then you'll see the breakdown of general fund receipts and expenditures, nothing too out of the ordinary. And then you'll see the district level budgets as well. And then the activity balances is also on there. So you'll see items marked in yellow are the accounts running at a deficit.
Yeah, we talked about a couple of those that went this month. It's like
Skills.
if you look at skills, yes, they've got to collect dues for what they're entering, like based on what skill that they're testing when they go to skills study. The kids pay for that.
Then you'll see, I did bring this up, concessions. Mr. Shadek, Dr. Lewis and I for both of them, but it looks like concessions is having a better year.
Yeah, over years ago, we decided to finally make a jump on prices and we've been running negative, and so I'm hopeful that we can hold on, but we all are hopeful prices hold on in a lot of areas, right? So,
Yeah. And I said we probably have to like buy some stock for spring, like the track meets and for
Yeah.
baseball games. We're in a better position than we've been.
yeah, we're thankful to come out a good spot after the fall and winter.
Probably could trip dog, but I don't know. It's an uncertainty.
It's the market.
Let's get salesman.
Yeah.
I can't be drinking water, you say funny stuff.
Dr. Lewis, did you have any comments about anything in 3.3 at all?
No, we're, the 3.3 there, we've got, a couple of resignations, we've got, the resignation letters in their files, so if any board members would like to do those, you certainly may go down and have board meetings, and then just a transition there. We've gotten a couple big hires that we're excited about. We found a Spanish teacher who signed for the 26-27 year, an English teacher, and so, that's all good news. And, we're taking applications and interviewing for the next one we have.
Is that currently who's doing Spanish? now?
Yes.
I thought it was.
Yep.
With that, I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Thank you, Cassie Stevens, moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Let's vote.
Chase Bill. Steve Slighthouse.
Yes.
Sharon Wilmot. Yes. Jason Art.
Yes.
Cassie Posner.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. And item 4, curriculum and instruction. Tonight we have team second grade here with us. If you want to each kind of introduce yourself to the board, just because we don't get to see you as often, that would be awesome.
You want us to stand?
Do you want to stay?
I don't know, I kind of do, I don't know.
Feels right.
Whatever's comfortable to you.
I kind of walk around a little. Okay, we're your second grade team, and we're just gonna be here to say a little bit about second grade. I'm Morgan Maroos. Taylor Monjo. I'm Haley McMartin. And I'll start with the multicultural aspect in second grade. Our Super Kids curriculum does a really good job of integrating different cultures into our everyday learning. The Super Kids themselves are actually a group of second graders, and they have different ethnicities. So that's really cool to pull that into our curriculum. Super Kids is our language arts curriculum that we use. Love it. And anyway, so the diverse ethnicities help us better understand the different cultures. We also learn about the meaning of important holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, President's Day, and all those fun stuff. And we dive a little deeper into the Christmas around the world, so we see all different cultures and how they celebrate.
Some things that we use to like drive instruction when we want students to learn. Morgan said we use Super Kids for our language arts curriculum. We use a lot of curriculums, however, that's not like what we use to drive our instruction. So obviously our Nebraska State Standards is what we use to drive our instruction to really make sure that kids are getting the knowledge and skills they need throughout the year. So that really does drive that. But kids are arts curriculum. Right now we have Envisions for math, and then we have Pearson for social studies, McGraw-Hill for science, but that will change obviously next year. So.
Yes. And then how our students are learning. So we do have 2 state tests that we take 3 times a year. So that is math and then iReady. iReady is still new to us, so we're still figuring out what all that data gives us. But we take those 2 state scores and determine if they need intervention with our math or reading specialist. We also look at those scores to help during our intervention time if we need to double dip with certain kids while they're doing their iReady pathways. So iReady gives them specific pathways based on their scores, so it's very individualized for what they need. We also use different scores to do our guided reading groups, so we can do higher groups who are that need a little bit more of that font help. And
Like where we have a paraprofessional who do interventions based off of those assessment scores. So if they don't score low enough to receive Title I services, they might get a pull-out service, but like a fluency scale with a paraprofessional or site work as well. So, yes, you're welcome.
So like she said, iReady is new to our district and new to us. But as a teacher and a parent, I have my a second grade daughter in our district, and we were driving home today, and I asked her to cut some strawberries up for me when we got home, and she goes, "Do you want them in halves or 3/4?" And I looked at her, and she goes, "I learned that on my pathway today." And I was like, "That's great," because like we haven't talked about fractions yet, and I was, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." So that was just a little personal touch that we kind of, I enjoyed that already piece to it.
also, sorry, I'm gonna cut you off, I'm so sorry. I have students that are really like high ability learners, and they are getting like division and multiplication questions already, and they are very successful at them. So like, I love that they're getting exposure to that, so that they're ready for third grade. I think that that's really a great touch as well, so.
And so what Taylor said, lots of ways we can assess our students and collect data. We're big on data and collecting all those data points. When data shows us that a student isn't meeting their gains, we intervene. And we intervene with our grade level, intervene with our interventionists, reading and math, and we have an MTSS team that steps in. And then we create an individualized plan.
Something else that like we're really fortunate to have, and I taught SPED previously before teaching second grade, so I feel like this is something I'm very proud about. But we have a really great SPED team that helps tremendously. Charlie Bierman is the SPED teacher that really supports second grade. She does a phenomenal job of pulling kids out, working with them, but she also co-teaches a lot of different classes with them. She's a great asset. She doesn't only just help special education. While she's in there, she helps other students that are maybe just a little bit struggling a little bit. So it's great to have that support also.
Learning how the pathway helps like our higher ability learners. They're able to learn things that we haven't even talked about yet. So we do like that. We also slow it down for kids as well. So it's nice to see where they're at and if they're gaining or if we're kind of needing to back up a little bit. Our guided reading groups are based on levels. So like I have kids that are reading some chapter books now to work on comprehension. And then you can also do some more level text for those younger or lower kids as well. And then, yes, in math, if they're mastering their addition and subtraction, they continue on with multiplication and division. Yeah. That's all we got.
Can you talk about how many kiddos you have in each of your classes, and do you break down the subjects? In other words, just some of your teachers put a subject and rotate just for the board?
I have 17 in my class.
Okay.
I have 17 as well.
I'm 16.
Yeah. And we used to rotate. I'm not saying we, I guess you guys used to rotate. This year it was talked about like
My newbie
Yeah,
this year,
me too.
so this has been a year.
yeah,
It's been a great.
she's tremendous. Yeah.
I'm getting old.
But we do not anymore
Okay.
teach just our students,
Got it.
which I do like. But at the same time, we talk about it's hard. We want to learn all of the second grade students. Like when you're at recess, you don't know all the kids' names, which is kind of sad. But
And like class splits, kids you shouldn't be together, but again, we don't know how they were like in first grade if they weren't supposed to be together, and if we don't know their personality.
a little bit challenging.
Yeah.
But it is nice to be able to like learn your students that are in their class a little bit more so that.
Yeah. So I think that's still up for discussion next year. If we're allowing that or not.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys talk about using the data that's kind of like given to you in iReady and Super Kids and everything, but are there different ways that you guys kind of gauge your kids on what they're like, how you gauge your curriculum? Is there different tools that you use, like of your own, or like how does that work? How are you looking at things outside of iReady and Super Kids?
Absolutely. So math pops into my head. I teach a whole group lesson. My kids will complete their work and they hand it in to me right away. And I'm grading it as they go to their iReady iPad, the iPad thing. Whatever they don't get correct or if they have trouble on, I immediately pull them back and we're using manipulatives or hands-on things to better understand the skill.
And yeah, I do guided math rotation, so instead of whole group, I do small group, so I can kind of see them right away. And if I see someone not getting as much, I kind of take them a little longer and have the rest just sit down. So I do it. I feel like math, I have to kind of catch it right away.
Yes.
It's hard when we go so fast, so you can actually like
I would agree with that.
Our math intervention is fluid too, so if we're working on time and say Cassie has no idea how to tell time to the 30 minutes, I can talk to Mrs. Dennis and say, hey, she needs some extra help with telling time. Then Cassie may go with her week for the unit of telling time. And then if we switch to counting money, and Cassie's like, oh, I'm bringing all the dough, like I got all the money. then we can pull her out of that group without having to, do anything.
Yeah, reading interventions is a little bit different, but math is more fluid, yeah.
The nice thing that we have in our schedule too this year is that we have like set time for intervention, which is really nice. So if there's students, like I have one student that really struggles with math, like I have a carved out time where I can support her directly versus having to like try to figure out how to maneuver math time to work so I can give her a little bit of extra support. So that's been really helpful to have that built into our schedule this year as well, so.
Are you looking forward to, excited, not excited about the change in science next year?
Did you all get to pilot this way? You do all pilot?
We did pilot, yeah, I did not, she didn't, I was on
You were on
maternity,
maternity,
so
right.
I just trust.
I think so. After we did twig right away,
Yep.
and then we went back to the old science. And I noticed the old science is kind of choppy, and I feel like twig could be a little bit more fluid, especially like on the like web side. It's easy for me to navigate.
It is.
Well, no, I was no help because I taught social studies for the last 7 years when we switched classes amongst the second grade. So they were piloting a new curriculum and
It's hard, but the science curriculum twig, it is a lot coming at you, like it's a lot, and there's not enough time, it feels like. And especially like being thrown into it, it's like, here, pilot it, and good luck. I think having time to look at the curriculum, some and be able to like really map out what we want it to look like, I think it will be doable. It just seemed like very daunting at the time because we didn't know what to do and courses, which is great, and manipulatives and things, but like to plan for that wasn't.
Well, and we have to split science with social studies, so that's at the same time, so you do science for a unit and then you go social studies for a unit. It's kind of hard to get all the units in, you're doing just for one at a time. But yeah, it's not, second grade standards aren't too intense, so you can kind of pick and choose like what needs to be touching, so.
Yeah. So I think if they're able to look at the curriculum in more detail, I feel like it'll be, a little bit better. It was just not a little, it was a highlighting, but I think having time will be nice to get our ducks in a row a little bit more, so.
That's all the same, aligns with what we've received about the science curriculum, so I was just
Yeah.
curious.
We've heard from a fair number of your colleagues on iReady and math assessments. I'm curious, as you use them, they're data driven, which is really great. Is it helping you be able to take both ends of the spectrum of your class better than before? Because you said I can zero in, these are my higher learners right now, here's your reading. Oh, we're struggling a little over here, here's your specific. How are you drilling down to an individual level, or are you grouping them? And is that driven material really helping you get better to all spectrums that you're teaching?
They give us really good opportunities to do that. Again, the iReady website is amazing. It's a lot. So I think we still need time to like, it shows you groups, but it's hard because there'll be like 7 kids and 2. So it's just hard to put them in the correct group, but
iReady does a good job of telling us what specific skill they're missing. So one kid may be low in phonics, but really high in comprehension. And so it doesn't just give us a whole score, it gives us an individualized score based on the skill. So that's nice. And then if you do go to the website, there actually are like lessons for each skill they're missing. It's a lot, and we have to make that transition gradually. But it is, yeah.
I think test data is going to give you data. I think too, it's hard because it is one snippet. It is so hard. And I think about once you have a really good test taker, does not mean that he knows that he is showing his test. There's no way I know that I know because I know him that he doesn't know everything that he's gotten on the test. So like, I would say for the most part, yes, but that doesn't mean it's going to be perfect all the time.
There's
But
no way it can replace your intuition that you're
Yeah.
seeing all the time, but
yes.
is it a more effective tool than what we've got in the past?
Oh,
At least
absolutely.
be able to stratify, I can now I take what I know and add it to what I'm seeing from
Yes. And it does show like Nebraska state standards on iReady, so you're able to see like this specific standard versus just like, oh, it's a phonics skill, and everything with awareness, it gives you more of like a exact awareness into. So,
Thank you.
I think I have maybe the last question. So we talk about like manipulatives and all that kind of stuff when we think about the budget and how you guys create your classroom budgets, which I'm guessing you guys are working on, or maybe already submitted.
Yeah.
So how is it that you guys work through your classroom budget, like as on an individual level?
Yeah, like their curriculum pieces go into Tasha's
Yes.
budget, so.
So a lot of the manipulatives go with,
They would go with
Yeah.
the curriculum.
If there's like a cool game that I see on Amazon, I'll be like, hey, can I get this, for whatever reason? It kind of depends on what you need. Obviously, I've been here for 15 years and some of my stuff is getting yuck, so I feel like, can I get these privacy folders? But they last for, gosh, you made my last ones and I just had to get new ones. But they last a while, so.
So I guess what are a lot of your, like the items that you're requesting? They're not necessarily manipulatives in your classroom for like the education aspect, because those are already taken care of. They're more things to make your life better, easier, and more effective in the classroom. So what type of things are those?
so I asked for new whiteboards. Is that like individual whiteboards, like my own group, and I don't have like a class set, so on like a whole group deal. I don't have enough for everyone. And again, this is only my third year, so I need a lot of like indoor recess. What do they do if it's indoor recess and I don't have them on an iPad? So I asked for it. So I asked for some games just because, and like STEM time, those kids are on their iPads a lot, so I try to give STEM time they can play with instead of just being on the iPad.
As far as manipulatives go, like I put on my like little miniature Judy clocks. Like we made the clocks, which is great, but they don't get to learn that the hour hand moves slowly and it's going to get closer to the next hour, that sort of thing. So I put that on. A lot of the stuff that we talked together about what we want to order is for like gifts that we are going to give for Mother's Day or Christmas gifts, or the name tags go on deck. Birthday gifts. I'm trying to think of what else we have in there. Lysol, so we can clean our classrooms.
Yeah.
What else?
We see markers,
Yeah,
we see erasers and.
And the school's good
and
at
stuff like
providing
that.
that.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
good that you guys do provide that sort of stuff for us.
Yeah, like the room is very soft for us, which is good.
Good.
We don't-
We put on headphones just because a lot of the kids' headphones break really fast. And it's hard to always ask the library to borrow theirs. And so trying to get a couple headphones that we have access to in our classrooms that we have tapped into those, chew on them and break them real fast. So they have those headphones for sure.
That's why we get Lysol.
Yeah. Lot of germs going on, but that's it.
Yes. The main thing, like you said, Mother's Day gifts, Christmas gifts for the parents, or every year, canvases and paper bags, and paint. and clay.
If you're on like $50 or $75 a teacher for unforeseen expenses too.
Or the teacher paid teacher, that's what
Yeah.
we're able to get some resources from there. I've on there this year, which if I get it, then great. If I don't, but like those big Post-its, ink paper, chart papers, to make different things like that. Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Yes,
very much.
thank you. Have fun.
At least some of my.
All right, Spanish update by Mr. Fingston.
There we go. We were able to hire a certificated Spanish teacher. So very fortunate that way. She's teaching Spanish 1 and Spanish 2, two sections of both right now. I don't know. I'm probably in the Spanish room about 25 to 30% of my day now, which is phenomenal. I get to see and work with Senorita just as she's developing her classroom strategies and whatnot, and they are Spanishing. So went over a rubric with them today about an oral quiz that they have to do. They're recording themselves speaking in Spanish so that she can assess where they're at there. So A lot of walk times and things like that, or look at the game kits and things like that, so. And she's got them speaking and writing Spanish, so. I think personality wise, she's very, very kind-hearted, very sweet, so I believe, if you get anecdotal advice or feedback from students, I believe they really like that. And appreciate that, she understands the art of learning a new language, so, she has that empathy towards them and trying to learn, Spanish, so.
So you said she has Spanish 1 and 2. She has 2 sections of each, so she has 4 classes.
4 right now, so then 1 was always a Kickstart class.
Okay.
When our other Spanish teacher was here, and we had a Spanish 3 and Spanish 4, and they're doing those, through Metro now. So,
Okay.
Let me they're doing those through Metro starting March 19th. Because they're on
They're on that short.
trimesters instead of the semesters, or whatever, the quarters or whatever they have. So class didn't actually start till March 19th.
So her class load right now is 5 classes. And
It's 4 classes that she teaches actively.
Okay.
And then she is a support for Spanish 4 in one class, one section, Spanish 3 in one section, and then Kickstart class.
So those kids are in her room, but she's not having to
Yeah.
teach them.
Yeah, she has a TA.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, okay.
And you seniors waited till your senior year to take Spanish too, did you?
No, I'm in her Kickstart.
All
I took a freshman sophomore.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr.
Anecdotally, she's challenging them.
Yeah.
Perhaps more than
Yeah.
they were.
Yeah, and they've had, moments, we'll just say, where it's like, so they were in the hallways recording themselves do their quizzes today and whatnot and things like that. So, she's very detailed and specific with them about, okay, when we're out there, we're respectful and everything. So she's doing a great job in a situation where she didn't just come here, right at semester or at the beginning of the year. So those situations are always, there's more to challenge and struggle and things like that. So, yeah. Doing a good job. We're fortunate that somebody will be a Spanish teacher.
Awesome. And I can attest that Mr. Kingston is also learning some Spanish because I.
I try. I try. So I took German. Yeah. We only had German.
Yeah. You'll practice with Chris.
So,
All right, on to item 5, review of annual district plan document.
Yes, so both attached there is the strategic plan and our board goal document. So you can see there the most recent adds to those, highlighted in academic learning and success with strategic planning working document there. That MTSS was fully implemented in the elementary, and that was highlighted in the success of their school improvement process. That was with point B there, the alignment, point B. Sorry, I didn't do it in different colors like I normally do, so I'm like, what is new? So we don't have to highlight everything that was new, but there were several additions there throughout the entire document, actually.
Yeah. I'm just checking.
Got it?
I'm looking here. Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
on the wrong spot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right.
Just checking the other one.
I also added a couple of things in strategy 1.2B with the special education staff, the middle school, high school have a weekly meeting there with Mrs. Sharp. That is aligning us towards that consistent collaboration time for staff. Still working on ways to make the perfect schedule and have all of the high school teams be able to come on in time, which is not necessarily possible. It's just not that way. As we scroll down there, to strategy 1.3C, the community engagement meeting on the 2026 plan to present DLR findings, cost improvements, things like that. We had that. Mr. Kingston, are you?
I didn't get on the wrong.
You have the right one.
You're on the right one.
Yeah, there you go.
You're on the right one.
You are now.
This.
I said I was following along with him and I was looking at something different. It's all fine.
Everybody is fine. Everybody, you're fine.
We're
You're
good.
fine. We're good. It's fine. And the reason, normally this time of year, we would deep dive into these in our retreat, but since it's gonna be a bit more facilities based this year. In strategy 2.1 in climate and culture, if you look at C there, we have the student attendance all-stars that are showing up on the announcements this year, and then the entry of the month and the senior spotlights. So those are, I think we started the senior spotlights, but it was missing from this document before Kansas started those last year. So we do 2.2. As far as considering parent advisory groups, I kind of went through and I'm like, well, we do have several parent advisory groups. We have one that is a school parent advisory group, but let's list the ones that we know right now, which are Music Boosters, Athletic Boosters, PTO, FFA, alumni and support groups. So we also have parents that come in and assist with FBLA and things like that. So there's a lot of parent groups. We aren't really like identifying as parent groups before, so we added to that as well.
Quick.
Yes.
So outside of that, we identified them. How are we going to like expand on that? I guess
As needed. Right now, I mean, this is the first, we've had the strategic plan for 7 or 8 months now. So I think the first start, before you start just adding parent groups left and right, we have to identify what we have and see how they're useful to the programs that they support. So that's the best way. And then we need to like forward and say, like, where do we need additional parent support? Where do we need additional groups and things like that? So these are already very active. Parent support groups. So
I guess my question would be more of how do we define high expectations of the APS standard of excellence. So how are we making sure that those groups that are already in place are aligning with what the school's goals are? Since we already know they're there, maybe we don't need to add more to them. We just need to make sure that their rules or whatever they're guided by are aligning with what the school is.
So we have board policies. We do not expect our parent groups to come in and be teachers of the class. So we're not asking them to do anything, that they're just there to support those programs. And that's really essentially all they can do. They can take off, they can't run a program, they can't do those things. They're there for support mechanisms. So, and they're, these were all established in accordance with our board policies that we have that say how they can interact and how they can operate and things like that. So,
Gotcha.
does that make sense?
Yeah, I get you. It does.
Yeah.
I think it is.
Okay, all right. And again, I'm just highlighting the ones that I'm 100% sure we're going to add on there. I believe we had everything on here as far as strategy 2.3, and I don't think I added anything new there because we already had the curriculum in place and the pacing and guidance and things like that. We already had that school improvement website last time we reviewed this document. But that was really, that website is still posted on our main page website. So that's a really great thing to do if you want to look at that, because there's so much information about our school improvement process, and not just that in general, but all of those different pieces that are in play. So if anybody wants to be, that's a great place to go. And that will always be active on our website now. District resources and strategy 3.1. I don't believe that I added anything new, but one thing that I would highlight that we've done a lot this year is those the alternative features, like seeking out difficult to find teaching positions using some of those creative certificates. This is really, we've had alternative certificates before, which is a little bit different, but it's the first year we've used some career educator permits, and so that's really kind of exciting to see those connections being made. But because that really is a partnership. We did add this year that math, what was that called? Math that goes with the metro there. That was a different one that was in the career tech math or whatever. Tech math that goes in.
Right now, and we're at math readiness.
Math readiness, thank you. And that's self-paced. Yeah, so.
I've heard some positive feedback.
How many of you are in that?
Better
Did you like
calculus?
it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
That's very
Stats,
good.
I'm doing that.
You ever use
Lots of
math? You can apply right away.
Oh, yeah. I had to
Take a real math class.
You're mad. You're mad. You think you
Yeah.
go to
100%, it's real world math.
I promise you're never gonna use calculus. in your life.
No, it's real world math, that's great. Love it.
I use a lot of algebra and I use a lot of statistics. I don't know if I use, I don't know. Some people do. In strategy 3.2, working transparently with the community. I think financially for smaller future purchase projects, I think we've done a lot of that this year when we're moving, like when we moved unused curriculum budget into depreciation. So fine arts, right now, Mr. Kingston and I are having conversations with some of our fine arts teachers about things that they would like to use that now that they knew that was like some carryover that would be available to them, planning some future purchases for that. So that's been a great thing. Board governance, 4.1, the first strategy there is continuously engage the community district in developments. So we're working really hard on doing that. I mean, there's a communication, like kind of a chart that went with our school improvement, but some of this is coming from a lot of different directions, right? So we're posting things, messages from principals, messages from me, messages from teachers and things like that. Sometimes go to social media, sometimes they go directly to different people, sometimes they go to certain groups and things like that. So we have a lot of ways to reach people. We're trying that we don't have specifically a reporter just for Arlington things and things like that. We're trying to get things in a lot of ways. And we'll continue to keep looking for those creative ways to get information out. If there are ways that the board would like to communicate their own information as well too. Because this is not just the admin teams, teachers too. I mean, this is board governance goals. So if there are other things that you would like to see or needs that you would like to use for the board to communicate with the public, certainly let us know.
This is a good stop point, Dr. Lewis.
Yes.
I can't remember when I was at. How many different apps do we utilize across the school and or athletics?
So like specifically, I mean, honestly, I know those as a parent because there's different preferences because cross country uses a different app than like cheer does and things like that. But honestly, I don't know. Mr. Kingston, do you have a handle on how many different apps? Maybe Mr. Shada would. I don't know.
We used to, we have all but one of our sports teams on Sports U and one prefers to use the Remind app. So,
Remind, that was the other.
yep, so they're all in this same.
And somebody did do cross country this year. She was using one called or something like that for a while too. Just,
Elementary class go.
yeah, most of them use Gojo, and I don't think that they use any.
Was the concept then, like, we have so many different, that if we just had one or two or something like
Well,
that?
one person at the meeting, community engagement meeting, that one student.
So there were so many different, right?
Because then you could get the Power School app, and if you had, parent access to Canvas would be, like, there's.
Like, and if you look at it, like Power School is tracking grades and attendances and things like that.
We try to, like City said, we try to get more streamlined to one. The one thing I like about Sports U, if you are involved in, let's say, 4 different things and all your sponsors are on that, it kind of rolls like a scroll on social media, so you can go that way to find it, and you can use the bottom bar, which has teams, and then you can go like, I gotta remember when my bus leaves basketball, I can go to the basketball thing, and it looks just like that. And then each team has a calendar function on that if you're doing it. So we have liked that app quite often, or quite a bit, yeah.
Just where there's a lot of different, even the elementary and high school news daily, different system.
Yeah.
Elementary does theirs at
The
the end of the
sports
week on Fridays.
newsletter, yep.
Yep, and then those are different platforms too. We're just utilizing a lot of different platforms, and I can see why there's some parents that have said there's so many different platforms to communicate I think we need to start looking at this maybe to try to stream. I know Canvas is gonna be one thing. I get that, from a learning thing, but from a communication standpoint, I think those are two different things.
And I think, to a certain extent, too, like, maybe like Mrs. Martin's is using a different platform than Mrs. O'Connell is when we're doing the newsletters, but it still is delivered to people's inboxes. It's like a different app that they have to look at or something like that. It's still landing in the same place. Just like the Blackboard system, it's landing in the same place. It's landing their inboxes. By Blackboard, I mean like our Eagle alerts that go out, right? So those are landing in, those different places. I think it's when we start breaking up activities. So one thing I heard a lot last week, I was on a team that did Gretna School Improvement, and they made a decision district-wide, like, this is the app that we're gonna use, everyone's gonna use it. And it was a little bit overwhelming for parents even to have now just one place, because they've got kids at multiple levels and all the different activities, and like trying to sort out on that app which one. So that's the feedback that we heard from a lot of parents that we had interviewed as part of that process, but you could like do that. I don't know how they have more functions, right? So like the Sports U is an app for the athletics. It's designed for coaches and athletes and parents to be able to communicate with each other about that, which is really different than classroom things like Classroom Dojo, because that's specific to classroom. And like this newsletter that Mrs. Martin sends out, that's just a different platform that she uses to create it, but it's an email to everyone. So it's definitely worth a little bit more discussion. I don't know if we're going to decide anything like right here this evening.
No.
It might be something for us to keep diving into, but just different philosophies. It was just interesting to hear once parents got hit with all one app. They're like, oh, but I keep it separate now. Like I've got to find all these different pathways in that same app and figure out what my high school kid and my middle school kid and my two elementary kids are doing different tracks and who's that teacher and who's that coach. And so it was just interesting for that perspective as well. The good news is that we're not unique in the fact that people are talking about this in your district. Like this is we've been inundated probably in the past 15 years with so many different ways to communicate. Where before it used to be an email or phone call, that's what you had to communicate. And now there are so many different ways to do it. Everyone's trying to figure out the best and most efficient way. So it's not unique to us. We're all trying to figure it out.
James, what's the calendar app that you recommend at the beginning of the year, at the fall? What is that?
That's the one that's changing.
What's it now?
It's called.
Because I use it.
It's called
I use
activity.
calendar on
It's
school.
called Activity Scheduler,
Okay.
and what we are transitioning into is called Bound or Go Bound. So Activity Scheduler is on there. Will go away over the summertime. It's running right now in the background, so we can build.
Yeah.
26, 27.
Gotcha. So that's another thing. So like our schools, like activities calendar on our school's page, you can obviously send that calendar to your email or whatever. That's how I see all my things because they're all coordinated. You can change it what you want to see. You can't do that app, but I'm not going to go through 10 different apps to try to find that in calendar. So that's one of those things that's like, is no bound, is that, or whatever, the activity scheduler and Sports U, do they have similar aspects as well? Or like is there ways to cut down on one of those apps? Because a lot of those, like the schools, like this activities is also in Sports U because the coaches put that stuff in there and delete things when they get canceled or whatever, which is great. But is there a way for like families when they say, gosh, we have 3 apps for maybe the same thing, that might be one of them. I don't know because I don't have that one, but could be.
I don't know if I can answer that fully yet.
Yeah.
I'm learning the new program as we speak.
One thing I would say is that Bound is not an app. It is the activity hub. It's where you're putting in all of the games. It's where you're hiring officials, things like that. It's not meant to be an app for parents. It's like the calendar that feeds to our website. It's our activities calendar.
It's not. So that's what. Okay.
Yeah, it's
So
not like
a brain
Sports
science,
U.
but it helps me.
Yeah.
It allows us to put it all together in there.
And that's what goes into the school's website.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the reason I paused, it's a pretty impressive program. There may be something, and we get a year down the road before we transition that you like, that would be nice.
Yeah.
What I have seen on the app side as a parent, trying to figure out when the football game is and when this is a lot nicer than what we had. And
Yeah.
So we're excited about that, so we'll work to do that. So, good question. Can I come back to you?
Yeah,
Once,
just-
with a good answer?
Thoughts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dr. Lewis.
Yes. Keep on.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, so 4.2, the one thing that I added there was let's check and see, I'll check with Ben and see if there is a way to merge the strategic plan into Spark so we can like connect that, all these goals and things like that to our board meetings. So that was an addition there. I do not believe I added anything to strategy 4.3. And so that brings us to the end of our strategic plan. If we go then to our document, annual district goals document. When we're talking about our budget, Jason talked a lot about the different bills that are out there, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So that was an addition at the bottom of that. In the area of community engagement, one thing that we have had there with our parent-teacher conferences is Mrs. Toft a lot of times had a registration and graduation requirement meeting for parents. So that I think is maybe, it's been well attended. I don't know if it's brought more people into parent-teacher conferences, but it might have. We don't struggle in the elementary. Those were well attended meetings with Mrs. Toft. In the area of facilities, we have a vision merging from community engagement and NUSB and DLR, so we've got all those things kind of coming together. And then we have board members who scheduled meetings to view some facilities in the areas that are kind of lined up with what we're talking about when it came out of community engagement. And then the goal of student performance. We talked about just science curriculum and that process. Also, participation in the APS training. And that's all about analyzing why the target areas where students are like consistently scoring lower than their peers, how we can do better and maximize learning for them. And then the behavioral and mental health. We talked about that GLOW grant a little bit. GLOW grant was the continuation of the first communities of practice, or there's so many different community grants or whatever. That was the first 3 years of the ESU 3 grant. We had that mental health initiative. The second phase of that, the next 3 years, is the GLOW grant. And so with that, we had been using Savers as our screen. With the first phase of that, now with the GLOW grant, we're not required to purchase a screener anymore, and we're going to be able to create our own screener, which will have kind of self-chosen questions. ESU is helping us create our own screener, so we won't pay Savers screener anymore, and Mrs. Fox is really excited about that. So those were the updates to those documents.
Perfect. Any questions on either of those? We will go on agenda item 6, the principal report. Dr. Morgan is not here, but her report is attached. She highlights some events that have been going on down the elementary side. I will go into too much detail on those with some pictures as well. And I will turn it over to Mr. Pinson.
Scheduling update, just today on my desk is our total count for students that they asked to be enrolled with for next year. So we'll go through that and go through what sections we need and throw those into Power School and hopefully it kicks out 100% with no errors. That never happens. So
No conflict matrix this time, no conflicts.
but that's the process that we're in. What that looked like before this was elected fair. To students go talk to teachers about what they're interested in taking and then putting that down on the request list. So on Friday, 2 Fridays ago, we had the blood drive, the NHS blood drive. And so a lot of community volunteers and students who assisted with that through National Honor Society. They were able to collect 28 pounds of blood for the Red Cross. So if you were part of that process, or gentlemen back there, if you donated, thank you very much. I put this on here. We've got state basketball Strive on Wednesday and Friday. I intentionally put the names of kids on here. Not, I mean, they deserve recognition, but just how it's not just 2 or 3 kids. Like they're running the production, they're doing it all. So it's a cool deal. So they will start that not tomorrow, but Wednesday, and then on Friday as well. So they deserve recognition. I mean, they're working. So it's a good deal. And you'll see a lot of these same kids that are doing our updates, weekly updates, and they're doing the cameras and the lights for the one act and for the musical and different things like that. They just do a great job. So anyway, they deserve recognition, and they're going to be representing us well. We have state leadership conferences coming up in this month and next month. So those are big events for us. Get recognized for FFA State Fire, Little Land and Creswell, so great job there. I had to throw some pictures on, try to compete with the elementary, so just wanted to show, FFA has been doing some things district CD wise, and that was some things from the state conference as well. FBLA had a Midland Business Day, and they finished first thanks to Tanner Kylo. He told me in the hall, "Oh, thanks to him," but that's okay. We did,
I mean, no, it was all me.
So they did a good job. And they're kind of, not kind of, you'll see Mrs. Goldberg up here all hours of the night right now, because she have video record this and that and the other thing. And so they're gearing up.
I think their stuff was due recently, so
Uh-huh.
she might be
My
a
own
little
job
bit more
was-
sleep now, because they had to be recorded, submitted by a deadline, and then they find out
Yeah.
soon.
It's-
They
Depends on what
next
the,
level.
what the competition is. And then Mr. Shea tomorrow is recognized as the district administrator of the year, so congratulations. Mr. Shea. Yeah. A lot of things going on. The biggest things in time out as we build through this season is our activities, FBLA, FFA, and skills, and then testing. We've got a testing day organized for the 7th of April. So I guess we won't talk before then. ECT testing on.
Mr. Shea.
Just kind of want to wrap up the winter activity. Congratulations to our cheer and dance teams that did a great job at the state. And then just got a couple follow-ups there. Transition Tim and Mason Oak, the first team all conference, and he was a honorary captain, so he's got a high vote for both of them. The highest vote getters. All that off of the boys team is a second team. Congratulations to him as well. You see our state qualifiers for wrestling, so those folks did a great job. Did a really good job down there at state tough competition. So, and then we had a state champion, and hopefully all that we put that out there quite a bit. The Dominic Morrison as part of the 200-meter relay for Fremont. And I believe for the team outside of Lincoln or Omaha in 90 years has won that relay. And so.
And I think John says that he taught him how to swim, right?
No, but I can outdrive him.
Yeah.
I was sitting behind you at the pep rally. I heard you.
I can.
So then we quickly turn around and you play home baseball next week on Thursday, Friday. Your first draft meet is next Friday. The musical is next Friday, Saturday. So there's not much gap there, folks. So please come out and see the musical. Should be great. There's a lot of our young friends excited about the Disney tie there, and so it should be great for your nieces and nephews or your own children too. So there's 3 slots, which we've done for several years. So and then I just put at the bottom some of the big events we host. If you want to help out golf, sorry, if you want to help out golf, that's pretty straightforward. The track meets are always great if you want to help out there. I hope it doesn't rain this year for golf, but I'll help with the golf. There we go, yeah, pretty good, so, we're thankful that where you guys let us go, but it's been a nice adjustment there. For our boys and girls. Question?
So we move on to agenda item seven, superintendent's report. Dr. Woods.
First of all, I emailed this to the full board before this meeting this evening, so hopefully you had an opportunity to just review the community engagement report that been shared after coming out. So we just highlighted an executive summary for some of the overall feelings of pride in Arlington Public School, sense of connection, things like that, considering priorities of learning over the next 5 years. I want a clear emphasis on career readiness and workforce alignment. Feedback related to community partners and engagement reinforced existing strengths while also identifying future opportunities. I'm not going to read the whole report. I'm just going to hit highlights for the people that are watching here. Again, it's attached, so anyone can open this up and take a look at it. What's next? It says our next role is to translate community input into clear direction, priorities, and accountability. So that's the board's next goal with this. Well, let's just kind of scroll a little bit there. We won't go through everything again, but like it's really nice to see listed out how many times, because they picked up all these sheets, right? I took everything and wrote it down. So many times I feel like when we're passing the microphone around, people were like, everything that they just said and this. So it's really nice to kind of go through points and see how many times some things got mentioned. And then everything that got mentioned too, even just once, for all three of those questions. Really trade and technical education to CTE growth. And probably the highest. It had 7 mentions. The next closest was 5, was the community and parent involvement and support. And then if you scroll down to that last question there, how can the district strengthen community partnerships? That was kind of really all over the board. Consistently a lot. There were some things that we got mentioned 3 times. Family events, filling the void, job training, things like that. So we're already doing some of those things. But clearly room to grow. Does anybody have anything they wanted to talk about in particular on this? We can dive into some of these things at the board retreat next week as well. But anything anybody have a discussion now?
No, we got this here recently. I think most all the board attends the community engagement meetings. So I don't think anything personally surprised me. I think we've been hearing about some of these things or highlights or areas we can improve on for some are repetitive.
Mm-hmm.
That was my own analysis.
All right, let's go ahead and move on. We'll just mention that the NASD and the NERCSA reports are attached. We'll go to legislative updates. So primarily what we're concerned about the most on this, there's 2 bills really, or 2 like different subsets. The first one that we don't like at all on the school level is 3rd grade course retention for students who don't do well enough on the reading test. So that was the new thing. There's a lot of science into the fact that retaining students really doesn't help them make the gains that they need to make. There's also a lot of there's pieces in place, like if they've been receiving an intervention for 2 years prior to that, or if they have an IEP, or if this, or if that. So, but the big thing there is that's not just taking away local control. We're used to local control slowly being whittled away, and we deal with it. But this is taking away parents' choice too, because the parent can't say, no, I'm comfortable with where they're at. That's one test. Because they're not going to come in when that 3rd grader didn't do well on that test and say, well, can I see the other data that we've collected on that student over the years? Because maybe we can let them go. They're going to look at that one test on that day and be like, you need not move forward, hard pass go, or whatever all the game terms are. But the point is, that means then even the school or the parents can't at that point in time say, no, no one go. There's just not that. If they're just your typical student and they have a bad day, you know, it's really murky. It's a bad place for legislators to be like sinking their teeth in on. So I'm hoping that really they see the error of their ways in proposing that legislation. And the other thing, of course, that
Where does that stand?
I believe that it has been advertised, but I don't believe it's had a hearing on the floor yet.
So it's not,
So it's in-
is it out of
It's
committee?
in general file. If it's prioritized, it automatically comes out of committee, and it probably will get a hearing, it has to get some, but it might not. Any further than that. But if it's
Do we-
prioritized by a senator, it is out of committee and has a chance.
Do we have a sense of where it stands?
I have a sense that every single organization connected to education in any way, shape, or form is saying this is a terrible idea. I don't know that you would find a teacher anywhere or an administrator that's, yeah, mandatory retention is the way to go. I mean, and they're recognizing different states that have done that and things like that. Their data, the sure was called the Mississippi Miracle or something like that. And so there's a lot of different things that somebody read that turned into this piece of legislation. So
Do we have how the legislature standing? Do we have any?
no, I don't think there is any central direction going on yet. If we started hearing general file floor debate, I don't know. That's kind of where we're at with 1219 too. I looked, it's not, 1219 is the bill that is tax authority caps. And so that would cap us at what is now the postcard hearing limit, which you can exceed the postcard hearing limit now in our budget authority or in our tax asking. You just have to make a choice. Yeah. You just have to, you have choices, you have decisions to make, and, actually our finance committee this year talked about, like, should we take everything that we're able to take in taxes and go ahead and attend the postcard hearing to, like, just to maximize our authority? This would cap it, which it's arbitrary, but it's not. So school districts that don't have a lot of real gains, and I'm not just talking about like your property valuation went up, but like you put up a new building in your house, or you have a new housing development and 5 new homes were built in your community and it generated this much more of your valuation. The growing districts would not come out quite so bad on this because they would get their 2% plus their road growth, where some of them is an awful lot. For us, it's pretty minimal. So it would really kind of handicap what we can do. And so that's part of the conversation Jason and I have been having about that. Jay, do you have anything to add to that?
No, and Dr. was chiming in here, if I say something incorrect. The growth is the big key word in that, because it's not as simple as, these are example numbers here, there are numbers. It's not saying, hey, your budget last year was $10 million and now we're limiting 10 million to 2% of the overall budget. It's a much more complicated calculation than that. So it's not like, hey, you're limited to $10 million, $200,000 for your overall budget. The calculation is much more complicated than that, which makes this bill very, and our school district, like Dr. Lewis said, could severely hamper different school districts. So that's why we are waiting for more clarification on that before we kind of go over some budget conversations that we are having.
Aren't there several versions of this? Or there, or is this the one?
This one we're expecting an amendment, but I'm not sure what the amendment would look at. Typically what they end up doing is finding the most popular version and then amend to try and get a little bit of something, but I'm not sure what the amendments will look at. And I'm still talking with, our NASP, or watching the updates from our NASP organization and our rural organizations on that. I don't really have a sense yet. I have looked, I don't see it anywhere on general file for date. I don't see a schedule posted for next week all yet, so.
And
anyway.
so every bill introduced in Nebraska usually has a fiscal note attached. Is this gonna cost the state money? Is this gonna save the, interestingly enough, this fiscal note, I have absolutely no idea what it's gonna do. So the best sentence in here, the fiscal note, the impact of the state aid paid pursuant to TIOSA is indeterminate.
No idea.
So, you get an idea of what, they're kind of throwing things at. So,
So anyway, I will just keep you posted on where we're at with those things. Some positive things that have come out so far is to me, this is a positive, is the retirement waiting period now is shortened from 180 days to 120. So you can have someone go back to work or so it's a hard sit out. You can't do anything. You can't volunteer. You can't sub. You can't do it or anything for 120 days. But once that's passed, then you can go back to work. If the school district needs you, you can long-term sub as long as the district needs you without limitations. So it's more flexibility. That's 60 days that we didn't have before with teachers after they retired. It allows the managers the time required, like it's easy to just now tell teachers, no, you can't come in, you can't do summer school, you can't do this. If this is when you want to take your retirement, this is when it starts. No, because before it'd be like a gray area. Well, I still like to use them for this, or they're just kind of filling in this. And so now it's easy for people like that to do the retirement reporting to say, nope, this is easy. And then it's easier for people to plan. So that's a good thing that has come out of that. There's been a couple of changes to option enrollment. Now, if a current student if an option student is applying and they have a sibling who's a current option student, now we're required to accept the option application. So that takes a little bit of that, things that we've had in place, like if that class is at capacity. This is notwithstanding capacity, so it doesn't matter if that class is at capacity now. If a sibling applies to option and that class is full, it doesn't matter. So that's, and so a few changes to the Student Discipline Act. It's just requiring the verbal and written notice to parents before certain types of suspensions are enacted. So
What was the onerous part, especially for the elementary principal, in that written variety that you mentioned?
Well, the next piece that got changed with the Student Discipline Act is that there's no longer the absolute, you cannot suspend a student grade 2. So that's what changed there. Now you can, I mean, you're still subject to the same requirements. Before we had to, what was it, Mr. Kingston? It was a verbal notice that we had a suspension and then we followed up with written, but now we have to do the verbal and written notice before the suspension can begin. Before you could say the suspension is here, the notice is going home, but you could start it right away. You have to make efforts to schedule those. But the big thing that's changed for elementary is now, it used to be as a student brought a weapon to school in K through 2, you cannot suspend. Now it's a behavior that is could be harmful to themselves or to other people in the room. So it gave that tool back for students that are acting out violently in class but haven't fought. So
it's interesting legislation because the state backtracked.
Yep.
On it very quickly.
Yep. So
I thought, maybe I misread you. I thought there's something administratively too that you thought really slowed down.
it was more of that notice. It was
It's
the
the
twofold
notice.
notice. Yes.
Basically get this email, I assume counts as a written.
It depends on which lawyer you ask.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
There you go.
Laws of interpretation, really.
So those are, it's really what we have to share as part of that goes. And we'll keep posted on 60. Following up that is our option enrollment report. Deadline is March 15th. As of right now, we have 39 applications, K through 12 on our desk to be considered. Some of those, I would guess I handed Mrs. Sharp the ones that she to request notes pages from IEPs. So because those still have to go through your special education director. There's at least probably, I don't know, I'm gonna go with, let's just say 10 have something that we need to follow up on, probably about 8 or 9 have siblings, so, so those are new challenges, not new challenges, but just new rules that we have to kind of abide by when we're looking at those action applications. Of those 39, the majority are in kindergarten, and a reminder, we'll only have 2 sections of kindergarten next year. Each class will have some capacity for option, but we're not, filling them up to 18 or 20 or anything like that. But the 2 sections will be small just because of the enrollment that we had, or the attendance that we had at kindergarten roundup and things like that, and in our census. Other than that, the next biggest group is typically 7th grade and 9th grade. And then we just have a handful here and there. So we will follow all the rules and get those notices out before the end of the month.
Can you remind me how that compares to last year? How is it positive,
It's-
good? Are we happy with that?
Right now, like the amount of applications are, it's not really a source of happiness or not happiness. It's just, as far as that goes, it's probably about consistent. We probably had about that many for the past few years. I think many years ago when it was, we probably saw a lot more applications than we do, but now it's been between 30 and 40 for quite some years. All right. And then I think I put this board self-assessment tool on here one more time for discussion again, but I think maybe that would be just a good 10 or 15-minute discussion at a board retreat. If you guys are comfortable with that. The tool looks similar. What you need to hear is it looks similar to the evaluation tool. You would be assessing your own performance that way. It's a discount because we do use the superintendent assessment tool, so it's $50 cheaper for you guys if you would want to use the board assessment tool.
How much is this assessment tool?
$300.
So I looked through this, I understand why they're doing it. I think my difficulty wrapping my brain around it is a lot of this stuff is done by the admin team, or it's done by somebody up here in the building. And some of the things we're ranking, or rating, for example, the board reviews data to monitor and assess the progress of student learning. I feel like that's duplicative in nature when we're giving the data. So I don't know why we're rating the board on that when that is not, board receives that information, for example. So some of these things I struggle with a little bit. And so we can definitely have more conversation about it. That was just my initial thoughts in looking it over.
And I wonder if it would benefit Ben or somebody talk to the board about how to interpret that data, how to assess that, how,
And a lot of this is,
I don't know if it would
quite
be-
frankly, like the board ensures board policies are updated regularly. Dr. Lewis, that's something you do and to us, and something we evaluate with superintendent evaluation. So I don't want to do something just to do it. But we can definitely have more conversation and then make a formal decision on it at the board. I'm fine with that. But that's kind of where I was at.
About the same thing, reading through a lot of this stuff is kind of one of our things.
I feel like it's repetitive and $300 would be a waste of money.
I mean, I see the value in it.
Yeah,
I just don't know that it's.
I don't
You're right to do it. Yeah.
kind of.
I don't think it's aligning correctly with what boards should be evaluating themselves on. A lot of it is not, to be frank, is not their responsibility. Steve or Jason, any thoughts?
I saw,
Just the ones that I read, those are not in our, like, wheelhouse. I mean, like the ones that to get staff to communicate with the board to work on different ways of teaching learning. That's not,
we're not supposed to do the staff to get them to communicate with us.
right, that's kind of like, I mean, personally, I don't know, it feels like that's stepping on like, guys' toes. I don't know.
Okay, then, is this,
Well, I mean, I'm like hearing if maybe this is not.
is this an action item?
No, it's
Okay.
not.
Okay, then,
This is
I
discussion.
think, based upon the consensus of the board, at this time, we will not pursue.
I will
with
just
it.
let them know then, I mean, they've offered it a couple of times since we use a tool, so I'll just let them know we're not interested. Alright.
All right, agenda item 8, committee, 8.1, Committee for Curriculum and American Civics, which I believe that before the meeting.
They did, and actually probably what you're gonna see is science curriculum, so we can talk about it at that point in time.
Okay.
If that worked for the committee members, I would.
Yes.
Agenda item 8, into negotiations committee, so along with, what we just talked about, the budget, Dr. Lewis and I talked about this, we were set to meet on Friday to continue our work in that area. However, just to see where things shake out with the state and some of these legislative bills, if they're gonna severely impact budget, I feel like that's something we need to know before going in and, having really conversations around, spending money in the budget, because those may impact those decisions or alter them. So we postponed it, due to that uncertainty, and, we'll wait to get a little more clarification on that. There's no specific dates where we have to have that done. Obviously, usually we have it done every year. So for staff or admin team or, non-certificated staff, whatever the case may be, that's usually see that around this time. That's the reason for that.
Did they understand the why?
I sent out emails to the Ys, and I had like one direct question from one of the principals and, no one else, and a question, from Jen. It was just because she saw it on the board meeting, but, so I explained the rationale behind it and reassured everyone, nobody is like, this doesn't mean, I mean, these people, if they have a contract, they're all continuing contract people. So this is just about what we're able to offer for compensation next year. It's not about jobs. It's just, we have to have a little bit better handle on,
I just didn't
What
want
we'll be able to
if they
get
didn't
in the budget.
understand the stress and then not.
I
I'm gonna make sure
sent it
we're-
out, I sent it out in 2 different group messages and things like that. And I had 2 questions from people out of all those, so. Later, I'm not sure, but anyway, just, it was more reassurance, like, hey, we haven't forgotten about you, and this is a risk, it's just a pump the brakes for a little bit here, so.
I just didn't want to hear anything back chatter behind because, oh, you heard that. Perfect.
All right, agenda item 9, new business, 9.1, review policy 6600, this is policy documents.
Yep, and this has not changed, this is a new one, still on our review cycle this time, and it's a standalone because it's one of our longer policies, so. Also, if Mrs. Sharp is here, she would also talk about how our sped procedures kind of align with that. They're connected to this board policy, but they're not board policy, so. This is the only one. I would ask you if you have any questions about any of the things that are in here, but they're all connected also to like federal statutes and things like that. So,
I was gonna say, most of
Legal
this,
reference.
yeah.
most of the,
Yeah,
you
all
won't see
the
another,
ones. Yeah.
well, don't quote me on that. Most policies, most all of them, you will see written like this, because of the legal references, they adhere to a lot of different laws.
So one is just the review on cycle.
And 9.2, discuss and consider 2026 spring legal policy on first reading.
Okay, and so here, if you look at the policy memo where it says first set from Perry, which means that we're expecting a second set, which actually landed in my inbox today, just not in time to do in the board meeting. So next month we'll have a first and second. So annual report now will need to include a report of computer science and technology education status, which will be due to the board by December 1st, 2026. So that is a new policy that we'll have to adopt. They've changed some bidding thresholds, so 3540 and 7050. The bidding threshold for construction projects is now, if the project is going to cost more than 144,000, you have to go out, you have to do your advertising and your collecting of qualifications and all of those different things. I remember when, so it's really increased over the years. And then the same thing for bids and contracts. The state adjusted the amount to 136,000, which is just a little bit, it's in a different
Why
section of
136?
policies. I don't know. I have no idea. It probably has something to do. It probably has something to do with cost of living increases over X amount of years, and it turned out to be from 110,000 where it was before to 136 is a magic formula. And then, I don't know what the magic is, but policy 5601, the change there, and asthma, anaphylaxis, and allergic reaction protocol must also be included now in the handbook. So we already have that board policy. In addition, DHHS issued a new guidance document for anaphylaxis that not need to be in board policy, but can be shared with your staff. So those are the policies that we're reading first time here. We'll see them next. Anybody have any questions on those? Okay. And then
9.3, science curriculum. Who is going to do this?
curriculum committee, you want to talk about a little bit?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing that you're gonna see when you look at the numbers, remind me, I believe 140,000.
We budgeted 140,000 between elementary and secondary for curriculum adoption.
The majority of that is gonna be a TWIG, the new program that has been tested for this entire, last semester?
They taught a few lessons from that, and then if you heard our secondary teachers talking about, they did this unit and then they went back to the old science. So that's how you kind of do a pilot.
The majority of the cost in what we're asking is in TWIG because of the amount of actual physical kits that they're gonna bring in. It's got very good reviews. They said the exact same thing that we heard at our meeting before, where at first it was a lot.
Mhm.
They're getting used to it. The big thing, I think, is they have summer to prepare, knowing that it's coming. They all feel comfortable. Is that, would you agree? That's kind of the way they're feeling. I think it's met with very, they like it. They want it. They asked for it. And the nice thing is, I think this number actually started quite a bit higher.
It did. It started at 140,000,
Yeah.
and Mrs. Wolf was able to negotiate. And so then, like, when we were able to pilot, she was able to say, oh, we're probably not going to use that, or this is kind of a crossover to reading, so we don't need that. And she got them to pull a lot of pieces out.
And the other big thing, she was able to, if you remember, it was a couple board meetings ago, maybe she talked about that. It came up again about the storage. We have all these old components of things. We kind of came up with, they had a couple ideas of how maybe to get those out of here and have some people get use out of it. But more importantly, they're trying to preempt that from happening again by the way the board reading is programmed, which I think is very good steward and what we wanted. She spent a lot of time on that, it sounds like, to do that. But it got a very good reviews from her. I think everybody's pretty excited. That's the bulk of the money. The other two are more, which makes it, would you say it's more of a re-upping of our licenses, basically, on the other two, and they're much smaller numbers.
That's exactly what
So we're gonna come in, where did we end up?
123,000, yeah.
Not as under budget as we'd like to be,
Yeah, with all in, yes. So Amplify is what we've had in 7 from the last adoption. Amplify has not changed since the last adoption, and the 7th and 8th grade science teacher is comfortable with that. So what that is new licenses for another 7 years. And then Mr. Kingston, did you want to talk about the high school?
Yeah, we had piloted speech materials and things like that. And we have the materials that we need, so we need to re-up the those for physical science and biology. We are requesting for our applied science and materials there, so that's what you'll see cost for HMH. We did have a conversation about the difference between elementary and high school as far as there's a lot of manipulatives and, things that need to be replaced in these kits and things like that. We do a little bit of that through our annual budget. So when you see like the science department budget, it's usually one of our higher dollar ones with our individual department each year because they have, the materials that they use for biology to dissect, things like that, or because they have chemicals for history going on there and things like that. So some of the costs for us are extended year by year by year because it's not necessarily all in the kit. So the science is a little bit more expensive that way, but maybe some of those costs are deferred year to year based on what we're doing and department budgets. So
And the thing that shocked me is we were spending so much on elementary, it's like, oh, aren't we doing anything in high school anymore with physical science? We are. It's different budget. That was explained, and that's because I'm relatively new, so it was a piece. I'm sure you guys all already know that. But it seemed to make sense, I think, to the committee. I don't want to speak for you guys, but
No, I think we've talked about how Mrs. Wolf coming in and updating us, kind of on piloting and everything for that. So it's good that she was able to get the price down to better reflect what we're going to be using. And we all know science curriculum is one of those things with a big price. So well, that makes sense. I'll make a motion to approve purchase of science curriculum on adoption as presented. Big Elementary, $95,099.94. Amplified Middle School, $11,444. HMH High School, $60,000.
Repeat, middle school.
Amplified Middle School, $11,444.
11,440.
Sorry, 440. HMH High School, $16,570. You paid from general funds as pending.
I second. Oh, you can second. Steve can second.
don't give
Moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Let's vote.
Steve seconds. Jason?
Yes.
Chelsea Glassman?
Yes.
She's correct.
Yes. All right, before we adjourn real quick, gentlemen in the back, since I forgot last time, if you wouldn't mind before we sign your forms, just letting us know your name and maybe some plans after you leave this fine establishment.
Starting on the left. Oh, you're right.
Who's left? Yeah.
You want me to stay? I'll stay.
You can say.
You can say.
My name is Jackson Stosage. I'm committed to Midland University for baseball, and I plan to major in accounting.
Morris Monkey, I plan to go to Northeast Community College for economy.
I'm Tanner Kyla. I plan to graduate from UNO with a criminal justice degree.
I'm John Morrison. I'm going to Northeast for electrical construction and control.
Henry Lancaster, I'm in South Dakota State and majoring in ag business.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. With that, we will adjourn at 8:32. Any of the board members can sign your form.
Keep it like that, I assume.
I will come find you tomorrow.